I'm just watching your names and just just seeing how interesting your names are. But I'm going to start a live, like answering a bunch of UX and product design questions in 7 minutes. So if you're a UX product designer, drop your questions. If you're just popping in, that's cool too. I see a few people with the UX kind of in their name, which is cool. Good question. Good questions. Oh, thank you. Glad you like my content. Any questions you got, feel free to pop them in, and I'm going to scroll back to the top when I get started, and I will answer them in order. I'm in the Netherlands, if that wasn't clear. Oh, Egypt. Very cool. Hot there, though, right? I imagine. Oh, North Carolina. Nice. I lived in Georgia for a little while. I followed you after watching color psychology video. Nice. That's cool. I need to make more videos like that. Georgia, the state or the country? Philippines. Oh, a couple of Philippines. Nice. I was just in the Philippines last year, actually. Or no, I wasn't. Last year? A couple years ago? Yeah. Anyways, beautiful place. Sri Lanka? Oh, it's on my list. Oh, I want to go to Sri Lanka so bad. That's so cool. You guys are so tiny. Ireland, nice. I love Ireland. It was actually one of the first countries I checked out when I moved over here to Europe. And I see your question as well, so I'll get back to it, I promise. I love Cliffs of Moher. That was so cool. I drove through the Wicklow Mountains. If I'm saying these like completely wrong, I'm sorry, but gorgeous. So really, Ireland is. Ooh, Nicaragua, super cool. Oh, Georgia, the state. Okay, nice. Oh, what part of Georgia? Around Savannah? I lived in Savannah for a little while. Old Town Savannah, not Newtown, which is controversial. Oh, Atlanta, nice. You know what? I've never been to Atlanta. I've lived in Georgia for like literally 3 months. Old Town Savannah is super nice. Yeah. I genuinely want to go back. I think I lived there in 2015. Oh, but it was so nice. Hot Atlanta, yeah. Cool. Oh, Hungary. I love Hungary as well. Ah, I have a friend, she's over in Budapest right now, and it looks hot, but so nice. So basically the I'm totally spacing on the name. But anyways, I remember getting up at 5 a.m. They opened at 5:30 because I didn't want to be there when all the crowds. Yeah, you're boiling there, I bet. And why is it telling me to swipe? What do you want? Oh, I can see comments way bigger. Oh, that's cool. Okay, good to know. And yeah, and then I was in the spas and like in all the like hot springs, like saunas and all the things all by myself. It was so nice. And all the mosaics. Oh, so nice. Cool. Old Town, is Old Town near River Street? Ooh, I don't remember any of the street names. I wasn't there for very long. Cool, cool. Man, people from all over. Isn't the internet like so crazy? Like literally Egypt and North Carolina got me. So many people. Job market. Yeah, ask it. So I asked everybody where they're from, but feel free to drop all your UX design, product design, career advice questions. I'm really hoping there's quite a few people who are on last week who had interviews, and I would love if they were back on and they could tell us about their interviews. That would be my like dream. That's on a different day at a different time, so that's probably not going to happen, but I really want to know how they went. Been wondering all week. Yeah, there was like, I think genuinely four people were asking questions like to prep for different stages of interviews, which was really quite encouraging, I felt. Oh, UX manager, nice. Oh, that's cool. I've been making more like management content recently, so I'm open to any ideas or suggestions on that as well. I'm also going to switch over to the lead content as well, because that's the track that I went up. Mexico is super cool. Minnesota, content designer at a Fortune 500. Nice. Minnesota. I have a friend and her family lives in Minnesota, and we always make fun of your guys' accent. It's great. It's just like the wholesomest, best accent, but it is funny. Starting a UXWGU program. I have Not heard of that. Can you spell that out? What's the WGU part? And where is that? Is that we are Canadians, basically. Yeah. Yeah, I straight up can't tell your accent apart a lot of the time. Except like you guys, yeah, you guys even have the A at the end of it, like basically everything. It's good. Independent brand and UX. Yeah, branding, very cool. That's cool. Like hybrid. I did a little bit of branding design, but yeah, I did branding design, but like my title was interactive designer. But I worked in an agency, so it was like whatever the client needed kind of thing. I graduated from an ID program and hunt for entry level jobs. Ooh, yeah, entry level jobs right now. Tough stuff. Pros and cons of being, oof, couple master's degree. Yeah, on my last live, there was quite a few questions about getting a master's degree as well. I'm not answering any of them intentionally. I'm waiting maybe another minute or so, but I see there's quite a few people on, so I'll start in just a minute. Also, last week we had, I think three or four people who had over 16 years of experience. I think one guy had 25 years of experience, which that means he went through like the dot-com era, which maybe some of you don't know what that is, but that's wild. Where do you live in the Netherlands? North Holland. The windy part. Yeah, having a master's. Yeah, okay. We're gonna talk about a master's degree tonight. Today, now, in this session. Okay, all right. I'm gonna scroll back to the top. Keep popping your questions in, but first come, first serve. So I'm gonna scroll all the way back up to whoever asked the questions first. Give me just a second. Okay. Egypt, I think. I'm currently applying for internships, but I don't know how to make a portfolio. Any tips? Lots of different ways you could go about it, but because you're applying for internships, your lower level, like junior kind of roles, or yeah, basically associate roles or something like that, it's really up to you. Honestly, you can build a portfolio in Figma. The cheapest way, like the lowest kind of overhead way to build one is, yeah, Figma is always a good option. You're going to want to have two portfolios as well. So if you're applying for internships, yeah, you typically have two portfolios. You have the public facing one, which is just to, it's like a higher level overview of your case studies and stuff. And then your interview portfolio, which is the one that you go into more detail. And then that's what you're used to walk through all of your thinking. I would grab my learning guide over through the links over there, and it's free and it outlines what you can do. So I don't know if you have any projects, case studies to actually show, but if you don't, it will give you ideas on how to create case studies, give you the structure of a portfolio, give you a couple tools that you can create portfolios on. So that'll probably help you the most. Cool. How do you tell a good story in your portfolio? Good question. I think for me, because storytelling is super important, a couple key things that I could cover right now would be that I try to capture people with the impact that I made in that project. So it's increased click-through rate by 5,000%, or improved the sus metrics of our entire platform in 3 months, or something just like it's basically a hook, right? It's a hook to get people intrigued, and you want to make them wonder how you did that. And so that's how you start off every project. For the life of me, I can't understand why people still label their case studies with the brand or even the fake brand that they did with. It tells me nothing. It doesn't make me interested. It's my pet peeve. But yeah, so your title of your case study should really be like, what is the goal? What was the impact that you made through the project? Even if it's fake, even if it's it's redesigned to help healthcare assistants do their tasks better than that. I don't know what they actually do, but something provocative, right? And then as you get through the case study, the big thing to not do is, I see you guys subscribing to my newsletter. Love that. More information and resources over there for sure. The conciseness. If you're too verbose, nobody's reading it. Hiring managers aren't reading it. Recruiters aren't reading it. So keeping it really concise is super good, and always very impact oriented or process oriented. I always also try to bake in my real thinking, my actual thinking, not just I did this and this. It's more about I did this and then why. Why did I choose that step, right? There's no linear cookie cutter process for UX or product design. So you intentionally chose every single step. Why did you do that? But again, keep it very light. It's like, we needed to do this because the goal was this. And then this was the output that we got for each individual kind of step. You did wireframes. We wanted to test some low fidelity concepts. We did that with 8 users. This was the results. You know what I mean? I hope that helps. I know that's not like, yeah, but those are some of the key things that when I'm telling kind of something like a project of mine or my case studies, I try to do that. Another overarching thing in a portfolio that's really case study oriented, which unquestionably is the most important part of your portfolio, but your about page, also tell a story there. Be genuine, show something unique about yourself. Don't just give me a checklist of your like previous experience, where you're from, when you were born, what school you went to, that you like your dog. Like really try to be like, what are you passionate about? Why are you even in UX or product design? I want to know a little bit more about like why you're even here. Why I'm looking at your stuff, something that's going to just stick in my mind a little bit. I actually remember one, and I remember specifically that she talked about wanting to get into UX design to be able to help underfunded like volunteer services. So yeah, like animal shelters or humanitarian shelters, stuff like that. She wanted to be able to help those people do that. And that was like her goal. And she joined companies and agencies that they specifically focused on those type of clients. Stuck in my brain. I don't remember her name. I don't remember where she's from, but that stuck. Okay, long-winded answer for that one, I'll say. Okay. Okay, Ireland. How do you get motivation to make your portfolio while in a product design job? Portfolio motivation. Honestly, why? Like, why update your portfolio if you have a job? If you have like a goal or something like that, like if you're looking to do side projects or you want to just have people to find you or something like that. But I've gone years without updating my portfolio. If I'm like secure in a job, I'm not looking. That reminds me, just a quick note. If that is your case, even if it's 6 months period of time, always be documenting, always be anticipating you're going to need to update that portfolio at some point in the future, and always document every project you ever do. Don't get comfortable. But yeah, I'd be curious, Ireland, like why you feel the need to update your portfolio if you already have a product design job. Now, if it's because you want to get a different job, then that's a different story. Okay. How are you feeling about the job market? Will it swing back once rates come down and the election is over? I don't think the election has anything to do. The market has been crazy for a couple years now. We started to see the mass layoffs like post pandemic, and I don't think it's fully and completely recovered because we've had, yeah, tech companies have still been laying off significant people this year as well. I think it's definitely a lower percentage. If you look at the breakdown of job titles that do get laid off, it's usually a quite small percentage of actual designers who get laid off. It's a lot of, I'm seeing a lot of CS agents or HR people or stuff like that, but there is a percentage for sure. But UX people have been laid off, but it does seem when you do break it down, it does seem to be less. But I'm not sure how the election plays into this because it's been going on for a couple of years now, the kind of job market. Do I think it'll swing back? That's really hard to say. If you think about what happened through the pandemic, crazy mass hiring, crazy upswing in resources and stuff. And then because tech companies were making just so much money, people were locked in their houses and they just hired a shit ton of people to be able to handle that kind of mass intake, but also they just had buckets of revenue coming in. So honestly, I don't know that I don't think it'll swing back to mid COVID time. I don't think we'll see that. I think we like that plateaued and then they had to, they're like, oh shit, we're not making as much money anymore. But we'll see a gradual just normalization of the job market. So I think these massive waves of tech layoffs are hopefully going to be done this year. And then everything will hopefully stabilize. I don't think it'll swing back, but I think it'll stabilize, is my opinion. Yeah. Mm-mm. I love knowing your guys' titles. I think it's super cool. Design manager, content designer, very cool. Do you yourself work freelance on projects? I don't currently, but I'm thinking about getting into some consulting. It wouldn't, yeah, it's a little bit not, it's not so much freelancing. I've done freelancing in the past, but it would be more because I'm not a tactical designer anymore. I'm a design leader. So I have a lot of, more of my value is offered through like strategic input and ensuring like design is connected to the strategy and that there's a high quality of design output. So I guess you could call that more consulting than it would be freelancing, but it's essentially the same thing. It's like just a different word. But I don't do it now, but I'm thinking about doing it. So yeah, independent brand designer. Cool. The school is here in the US. Yep. Okay, graduated from program. Yeah, and you're on the hunt for an entry-level job, and it's been tough. Yeah, sorry, John. That's tough. If you have any questions, anything I can help with, just let me know. Cool. Do you think the standard 3 case study portfolios is still the norm in hiring? Absolutely. 100%. 100%. Lower level, if you're like a junior, just like getting an entry level, you could probably pass with like 2. But even then, because it's so competitive out there, I definitely recommend 3. Maximum, I would say, is 5. And then what you can do if you're like, I forgot who it was, but the brand designer on here. I didn't catch your name. I just saw that you're a brand designer. If you have brand design, but then you also do UI, UX, sometimes you can combine those projects. It depends on what type of clients you're actually looking for, jobs that you're looking for. Maybe they want the combined service, but it also might be really smart to separate that out because let's say you're looking for, you just want to move into UX and UI design. You can have a part of your portfolio that's dedicated to brand design and then part of your portfolio that's dedicated to UI, UX. It really just depends on what you're going after. Always orientate your portfolio content and the case studies you choose towards the job that you want, not necessarily the job that you even have had, if that makes sense. But yeah, three is the golden number for sure. Because ain't nobody out here reading more than probably honestly okay, let me tell you the reason. Because ain't nobody out here, no hiring manager like myself, recruiter, anything, going through 5 projects. It might be good to have, and that's why it's also like on your homepage or wherever you have all your projects shown together. It making it abundantly clear what type of design you have done in them. I think on my last version of my portfolio, it was like qualitative research, A/B testing, like whatever the things I did in that, I just labeled it, like almost tagged the type of thing. Or if it was like, yeah, branding design, UI design, animation, something like that, just labeling, because then at a very quick glance, they can be like, oh, the role I'm looking for requires heavy research, click, that kind of stuff. But ain't nobody reading through 5 whole ass case studies, let me tell you. Okay. Okay. Bree, what are the pros and cons for being in UX, starting a master's degree at ASU, and I'm nervous second guessing? Okay. Oh, so everybody who is a designer in this chat, comment now your pros and cons for being a UX designer because it's different for every single person. So if you want to comment so Bree can get a good picture. So I would say, let's start with the pros. The pros are you can have a very flexible lifestyle. You can also not. You can get locked up in corporate ladder and just be locked down in Silicon Valley. But you can make a shit ton of money, like a shit ton of money. Of course, then you have the cost of living to consider in that place, but you can make really good money. It's hard work, and right now it's quite competitive. But you can also go freelancing. The thing about it is UX, UI, everybody needs a website. That's the world that we live in. Everybody needs a website and almost everybody wants an app kind of thing. So there's always a bit of demand for at least lower level stuff like that. And then we're just continuously moving more and more digital as a society. So there's always going to be a demand there. So that's the pros, the kind of a job security in a sense. I will say I say that with the bringing of all the layouts and everything in the back of my mind. But I guess a con would be that you have to keep up with tech, right? It's always changing. All this huge wave of AI that came out, you're changing tools, you're changing that type of stuff. So if you like the challenge of consistent change and you're not a person who loves to be like stagnant, it's great. It's super great. I personally think, especially when you're like a mid-level core designer, you work for agencies and stuff, it can just be super collaborative. You're just around. Oh my God, what's happened? Oh my God. I think somebody just joined my live without me consenting. Thanks, TikTok. Wow. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. I'm gonna move on with all of the issues that I have with that. Okay. Okay. Pros of flexible, lots of money. Oh, collaborative. Like it can just be like, I think one of my favorite, absolute favorite times as a designer was working at an agency where we had like 8 different designers, worked with a bunch of different clients. We got to go out, got to work for like an individual photographer who had our own company, but then all the way to like big machinery and they needed a website. And so it was just really cool. And also just the challenges. If you love solving problems, ooh. UX is it because it's all problems. It's all just problems. It's problems with the interface, it's problem with stakeholders, it's problem with the business, and just trying to do different stuff. I would say more cons. I really think to the market question before, I just really don't think we're ever going to go through something as crazy as unless we have another knock on wood pandemic. I don't think we'll ever go through something as crazy as that. I know we've had the dot-com era and we've had a couple other things which have been just, but it's if the whole economy is hit, then we're also hit. But tech specifically, I think it's quite strong. But yeah, the cons, I think the higher up that you get in design, it can get very political. But that's just like, I think that's just any role. The higher you move up, if you get into management and stuff like that. But you can also stay a senior designer for literally ever. You can start your own company. You can do, there's a lot of different pathways that you can take as a designer. You can freelance and contract from the beach in Costa Rica, or you can move to Silicon Valley and work and get snacks from Google. Yeah, because of that optionality, I wouldn't say there's too many cons, but now I'm curious if anybody else has commented their stuff. But it's the ever changingness. You have to stay up to date. You have to constantly be learning. There's no playbook either about what's right and wrong. The industry is all over the place as well. If you haven't already learned, you have 10 billion different titles of things. So am I a UX designer? Am I an interactive designer? Am I a brand designer? Oh, the list is so long. That can be really confusing and frustrating. So yeah, but it leaves a lot of options on the table for finding something you actually like. Okay. When somebody asks you about your UX process, what's the first thing that comes to mind? What's the problem? What's the brief? That's the first thing that comes to mind. Nothing else matters because there is no singular UX process. So you have, yeah, more detail. Tell me what you're trying to do, and then I can tell you the process that I would recommend to try to tackle that problem. So I'm going to comment on this. Having a master's in UX is not helping me get interviews. I want to touch on this just because there's a couple master's questions in here. I personally quit my master's degree. And that is because at the end of the day, when I dissected the full course structure that I go through, is about 30% of stuff that I actually thought would be beneficial. Keep in mind that the first year of my bachelor's degree, I was already working in UX. I had a very good idea of what the tech industry needed. And the master's degree just was not it. And especially coming from the States, this was actually why I was in Georgia. I was going to SCAD, if my Georgia guy on here knows what that is. And it just wasn't it. So expensive, unbelievably expensive. And then I even pursued a master's degree over here in Manchester. I thought about it, but I ended up getting a really good job opportunity that I was just like, I think I'm going to get more experience, like real world experience out of this opportunity than I would if I went through my 2.5 year program for a master's degree. And full circle is that my company that I worked for ended up doing the apprentice program for the school that I would have went to. And I got to essentially mentor or help the students in that program, which were doing fake assignments, fake these things, while I was doing it in my real job. Real experience. Even if you work your way, hop companies, hop and change, do freelance over here, do that, this will always trump a piece of paper, no matter what. It's across the board. I think there's some little advantages if you have like a psychology degree or something along those lines, because that plays a lot into UX. But hands down, what I've seen for people I've interviewed, people I've met in this 10 to 12 years of doing this, getting real experience is so much more valuable than going through and getting a degree. So that's my stance on that. Can you discuss freelance options? I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what you mean by freelance options. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, I just scrolled. Okay, it jumped down to the end. I'm scrolling back up. Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. You guys are going. Oh, I have the option. I can go over here and I can see bigger. Okay, is it a hard? Oh my gosh. Okay, the pooper name is really, I'm laughing inside every time that I see it. So I'm curious why you choose to live in the Netherlands. Wait, that's not the next question. Okay. Oh, I found it. David was next. Okay. Trying to make a career change from marketing to UX. Oh my gosh, David. Again, I think last week we had somebody who was moving from product design to, or product owner to UX and UI. Somebody in marketing, you also have such an advantage because you could be a marketing specific UX UI designer. And that is such a leg up for so on top of so many people trying to get into just UX UI with the same background. So yeah, my biggest piece of advice is use your marketing background. Really emphasize like how unique that is. Don't hide it. I think a lot of people think that, I'm not saying that you do, but I'm just generally, a lot of people think that like, you have to only show off UI, UX. No, I guarantee there's so much that you've done in your marketing career that will be applicable to UX, UI, and it will really actually set you apart from other candidates. So use it as your differentiating factor. How can I make bionic reading look nice in blogs? What? I have no idea what that means. I'm curious why you choose to live in the Netherlands. That's the next one. So I didn't plan on it originally. I actually just wanted to travel Europe. I'd never left the United States when I was like 25. But when I had first graduated college at 20, I was reached out to by the company I work for now. And they're like, oh, and it got to the point where they would be willing to fly me all the way to the Netherlands to interview me. But I was like, I can't move across the entire world at that time. I'm so young. I can't do it. Family stuff, whatever. And I couldn't do it then, but they were in the back of my mind. So when I got to 25 and I was like wanting to travel Europe, I was just like, oh, I'll reach out to him. And I did. I reached out to places in Zurich, Barcelona, Tel Aviv, just like I was like anywhere. But they just jumped on it so quickly. They flew me out. I think I was in Paris at the time. Did a full day interview, literally 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. Many rounds, and they gave me the job at the end of the day. But they're like, you can't work for a month. We got to get the paperwork together. I was like, cool. Can you fly me out of wherever I want to be in a month? And like, yeah, just let us know a week in advance. It's like, cool. And I was in Prague by that time. But I love the Netherlands. So it's very similar to where I'm from weather-wise, which is around Seattle area. But it's so nice. The work-life balance is exponentially better than anywhere in the United States ever could be. And I'm not going to get into politics and stuff like that, but it's a lot easier going. It's a lot more, less grind, less materialistic. And I get to travel literally so many places. I think I've been to like 40 countries, and it's just great. Healthcare is great. Benefits are great. It's just great. Just so great. So I couldn't recommend it enough, other than the rain is a bit much. It's a bit much. What is that? Did you guys see that? It popped over my head. These live things, man. I don't know what's going on. Okay, cool. I'm just sending things. I'm not that with it, you guys. So if you're sending things, I don't know what's going on. Hey, Raja. I'm just getting to your hello comment. I know I'm far up. There's so many more. Are empathy maps and user personas still necessary in real world projects? Sometimes. Yeah, absolutely. They're super good to have in your toolkit. They're really great, especially if you're working with a low UX mature team, because it helps you get them into the mindset of the customers. And yeah, so they're super applicable. It just depends on the use case and like what you're trying to use them for, but great to have in your back pocket. If you have a sample portfolio, can you share the link? Oh my God. Just, what's that website? That's like .io or something. Hang on. Do you guys know it? It's just like this repository of portfolios. There's a lot of them, but there's this one I have in mind. It's like portfolio, it's like .io or something, portfolio.io. Do you guys know it? That ain't it. Where is it? Okay, I'll keep looking, but I want to keep answering questions. If you guys know what I'm talking about or have another portfolio repo. I personally always love awards, and that's it, with 3Ws. That's always been my go-to place for portfolios, but they're very extra. They're always the most extra. Actually, the thing that I would recommend to you I mean, unless you're just looking for like wicked cool inspiration, there's also the site Godly. I think you can just do godly.com. That's also it, or it's god.ly. And if you just want cool inspiration, awards, Godly, or that portfolio site I can't think of. But if you're looking for like a real portfolio example, go find somebody on LinkedIn who has the job that you want and go look at their portfolio straight up. Because there's no point in you looking at lead designers or like crazy, I partially do animation designers. Go find somebody who's already got the job that you want and then go be inspired by them. UX job options are low in the US as they're growing market in other parts of the world. I think across the board, very much the same. In the tech hubs, I think there's still a bit more growth than other areas. So obviously you have Silicon Valley, New York, Tel Aviv, like Singapore is another one. Sydney is also another tech hub. You always see more growth, like continuous growth there, but it's the same as the US as it is everywhere. Yeah. Definitely wanting to get a different job, but more niche, so not rushing. It's nice to have. Yeah. Can we see your portfolio? No, my portfolio, I have been at the same job for a very long time, and a lot of the stuff that I work on, I cannot share because it's like very future facing stuff. So I am working on a new site. I don't know if you could classify it as portfolio, but it's to answer the question before, to potentially position myself for more consulting positions. So I'm going to be working on that. I'll probably share bits and pieces over here as well. But yeah, a lot of my stuff is under wraps for portfolio. This will get to you. I haven't done it. Yeah. If you're just feeling okay. I'm okay. Purple disco. I'm getting the thread. I remember your question. Definitely wanting to get. Okay. If you want. Okay. Got it. Okay. So if you are wanting to get a different job and you're looking for the motivation, I think the best way to get motivation is to look at other people's portfolio and then realize how shit your portfolio is. And that will be forever in your career. There will never be a time where you don't look at portfolio inspiration and wonder what you were thinking about yours. But I think the cool thing too is you can position yourself however you want on your portfolio, right? So let's say you're looking for a bit more niche. Let's say you're a general UX designer, but you want to become a service designer. Literally label yourself as it, and then go look at wicked cool service design portfolio inspiration, and then try to get as close as possible to people who are already doing it. That's what I'd recommend. But first stop is just go look at some portfolios that'll make you jealous. And that always motivates me anyways. The market is still good, but not for juniors at the moment. Also, I think it's coming back already. Yeah, it's like a slow, like we dipped, but now we're like on a slow steady. Because I'm hearing people getting interviews, stuff like that. But it's definitely a bit of a different world. Like the threshold to get in is definitely higher, and that's why kind of apprentice programs, junior programs is a bit rough. But I'm hoping we see an influx in that. I'm hoping companies just get it, because sometimes, like a junior position, you're doing the grunt work, right? You're doing the cleanups, you're doing the minimal kind of iteration and stuff like that. And we need people to be doing that, because otherwise you have seniors, all like more senior people doing that as well. And so I'm hoping we'll see a little bit of a bounce back for like junior positions, actually. Is it hard for a junior to make an interactive website? Okay, so you know what? Yeah, in a sense, obviously subjective hard. There are a lot of very cool platforms out there now. So you got Webflow, you got ReadyMade, you got Wix, a bunch of sites like that are basically no code websites, and they have templates. So you can just go and snag up a template, but I would say they're not cheap. I don't know any of them that are cheap. Framer is also another one. Yeah, and so the kind of cost of entry is a little bit high, but you can snag a template on there, edit that template, and you can make that your portfolio. So that's the probably lowest learning curve way to get in. But at the same time, you do need to learn the tool. I learned Webflow last year, even just to make the simple website that I have with all the design resources and stuff. And it's like relearning if you didn't know Photoshop at all. It's like figuring out Photoshop kind of level, but you don't have to code, which is the dream. What are the salary expectations for junior positions? I can't answer any salary expectations because they're different all across the entire world. So go to sites in your area that have like Glassdoor is the big one that I know about. Look at your area general salary positions. Should I ask for annual salary reviews? Don't exist where I work. You don't have performance reviews. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you absolutely should. You absolutely should. Yeah, I'm currently on an annual one. We used to have a biannual one, like proper scoring every 6 months. But you should absolutely ask it. And you can frame it in such a way like, oh, I just want to make sure that I'm performing as expected. This gets a little bit dicey if you don't have like clear role descriptions, but like hopefully you have the job descriptions that you brought in at, because then you can say, hey, I'm doing more than that now. But yeah, you can just open that discussion. If you want to not only get paid more, but potentially advance in your career, you have to be having some sort of conversation like that, even if it's not completely formal. But it's, yeah, start opening that door because that's huge. You'll become completely like forgotten or stagnant if you're not having some sort of evaluation happening. But yeah, absolutely. How do you give a presentation if you're working in a big company and work just on the search bar? Okay. How do you give a general present? What type of presentation? Like, is a presentation, are you reviewing the search bar? Are you talking about the impact that you've made based off of your design that went live? Like, what type of presentation? I don't know. Pros sometimes see the smile. That's really funny. The pro, yeah, that's their title. Saw customers smile from interacting with my product. I don't know that's going to get you too many jobs, but it would probably make you quite memorable. Wait, what the hell? I heard it not as UX, but since it's a Pioneer account, we create tools. Yeah. Honestly, UX knowledge can be applied. Sorry, I'm not reading this out loud. You guys aren't looking at. I got hired from Pioneering account, but not as UX. But since it's a Pioneer account, we create tools. Now I grab every opportunity to utilize UX knowledge to create tools and web page sites we need. Yeah, honestly, that's. I think I might have a package, guys. I think my doorbell's gonna ring in 2 seconds. I hear the delivery truck outside. Yep. Okay, hang on just a sec. Sorry, I'll be right back. Thank you. Okay. Sorry. You guys, I don't know if you could, my earphones were probably still connected as well. I probably heard everything. Okay. Oh God, not good money in Germany. People want for everything to be hard beginning without helping. Yeah. Yeah. Every country is so different as well for UX. Um, but I think, honestly, I think everywhere has those pockets of where you can just have a shitty experience in UX. I had plenty of mine, but it's just like you learn, you move on to the next thing, you learn, you move on to the next thing. So it's hard to say like, generally like, this country's bad, that country's bad, because I think everywhere has really good setups and then really bad ones as well. Do you think it's worth it if you're talking about getting into UX design? If you enjoy it, yeah. Yeah, it is. Even if it's, yeah, it can be challenging at times, but I don't know what isn't. If you're looking for something that's just going to be a quick, I can just jump in and then have this luxurious, like free lifestyle, then no, because that's not realistic. So, love to learn something every day. Yes, that is such a pro for sure. Mm. Yes, series of questions. Okay. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting through them. Find. Oh my gosh, Paul is so right. Yeah, design schools. I don't know if it's across the board. I haven't been in every design school, but my personal experience is that they were so behind. They were so behind for what you need in the real world. It was crazy. Um, yes, what program I took in college, I have a bachelor's in computer science in web design and interactive media was the title of it. So yeah, I did a lot of coding. I started as a front-end developer and then moved over, but it was like 50% development, 50% design. And then the programs that I pursued, I think it was a human-centered interactive design. Yeah, there's something like that in the title for the master's degree is what I pursued and then quit very quickly. Oh my gosh. Okay. When I had such a hard time finding internship and co-op opportunities. Yeah. Yeah, lower level ones. If you guys are struggling to find opportunities, I think one of the big things that you can really do is as you're looking for jobs, which is in and of itself very exhausting. I don't diminish that whatsoever, but continue to try to like I would say if you can volunteer your skills, if you can find friends and family, if you can create like kind of real projects for yourself in that way, or just tackling kind of real problems, keep growing the case studies in your portfolio as much as you can. I actually did a video on this. It's like where to find projects for your portfolio. And keep doing that as much as you can on the side because you will continue to grow. And then as you grow in those skills, you might capture more attention because you'll be doing more real work. So don't just stop at, oh, I just did the boot camp. Here's my boot camp case study, or I did a prompt and here's my prompt case study. You have to keep evolving. And that's why, for me, the only way I transitioned out of development into design is I just started freelancing. I just started selling myself as a designer. I offered really cheap services and or I volunteered sometimes my services just to get in the door and then I grew up from there essentially. How did you get in this field? I basically just said that. I will say the actual real reason, the real inception of me getting into like computer digital design was MySpace. When I was 12, I was my friend group's go-to person to customize their MySpace profiles. And so I could do inline CSS and HTML. The one that sticks out always in my mind is my friend Grant. He wanted a camouflage background and then he wanted a little flame on his mouse cursor. His cursor on the screen in his profile and I did that for him. Yeah, that's really how it started. How do you recommend looking for interviewees or participants? So it's always best to find your like as close to the real audience as you can, but my go-to is Facebook forums, stuff like that. Also Reddit, I've heard, I'm not a huge Reddit person, but Reddit is also a good place. But yeah, Facebook groups, sorry, it's not even forums. Facebook groups can be super helpful. Sometimes just people opt in, like friends and family can be just easiest, but you want to really try to find your niche, like whoever your actual target audience is, and then find where they are in the internet and then ask them as much as you can. So I don't actually recommend just doing a general go find like a marketplace group or something and then just popping in a question. But those are the places I would go. There's also a bunch of Slack communities as well you could probably find. Those would be the three big ones. That's where I would go if I needed to look for participants and stuff. Alternatively, if you need to properly do it, a lot of the services like user testing and a bunch of the other ones, actually, you can purchase participants. So you can buy their time for like however much money to do it. How did I get into UX? Finishing my BA in anthropology. Wow, anthropology, that's cool. You just have to learn UX regardless if you're getting a BA in anthropology, you just need to learn UX as anybody would learn UX. So you do I honestly get my learning guide because I break it down in there. One, you need to figure out if UX is actually where you want to be, but then there's also a bunch of free resources and stuff in there to start to grasp the like foundational understanding of UX and then just go, yeah, follow that process and that will bring you into UX design and then you just hone your skills and stuff from there. Nice. Are you excited about your visit to Poland in September? Oh, shit. I feel so seen. Yeah, so I'm actually speaking at the Ways conference in Poland on the 19th and 20th of September. I am very excited, actually. I have never been to Poland, and I'm going to make a little trip out of it as well. So I'm going to go see some stuff around there. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited about my talk. I still need to create the presentation. So should really get on that probably. I know what I'm talking about in and out, but I put a lot of pressure on myself to make it like a really enticing presentation. So I'm going to do a bunch of research on like how to tell a great story and like how to keep people engaged in your presentation, all that kind of stuff. So I need to do that. But that's cool. I'm going to pull in. That's sick. Mm-mm. Where do you get real world experience? I think I just talked about that a little bit. Freelancing, volunteering your skills, always a good start. And yes, you don't want to work for free, but you're probably shit. Like I straight up, I was shit when I started out. You don't start as an excellent designer. You just don't. Nobody does. And so I know there's a lot of controversy on, oh, internships, you shouldn't work for free and all this kind of stuff. And yes, if a company or somebody is really benefiting from you, I agree that especially these big companies, which they have plenty of money, they shouldn't be milking individuals for free. But brick and mortar, mom and pop shops kind of thing, or animal shelters, stuff like that, that do not have a lot of money, always a good place to go to. You can cold email, you can just go in and say, I work on websites, and it's going to be better than what they have, most likely, because it's quite an expensive thing to do, and a lot of people don't invest into it because of that. But yeah, where I think I literally just did a carousel on TikTok that's like where to get work experience. So go check that out. Can you talk a bit about service design? What do you mean? What do you want to know? What it is? What it is to be a service designer? I don't know what to talk about. Specifically about service design. Service blueprinting. Okay. Do you use Illustrator as a design tool in your work? No, not for a long time. But I'm not an illustrator. And I also feel like a lot of illustrators have moved, maybe not moved entirely. No, that's not true. I follow quite a few accounts where people use Illustrator, but Procreate's super big. But I am in no way, shape, or form skilled in illustration design. So no, I don't. But if you are, I'm jealous. And yeah, still many illustrators. I worked with a lot of illustrators and they use Illustrator. Yeah. How can I get ideas for training in Figma? YouTube. There are so many tutorials and things on there for you guys. There's nothing else you need. There's courses and stuff. Domestika has some courses. Skillshare has some courses. Very cheap, very affordable. But realistically, start on YouTube. And then if you feel like you need something a bit more structured to follow along cohorts or something like that, then look further. But good start. I always feel like I'm way behind my colleagues. Their website looks advanced for how I know. There's such this dilemma with portfolios that it's so hard to feel like yours is good enough because it just seemingly there's always something better out there. Whether your colleagues are just literally anybody and everything. There always will be though. There always will be. Yeah. It's just the way that it is. I work around it, just a personal hack for me, and it's not going to be accessible to everybody, but I hire out some of the stuff. So I hire out development, or I hire out some illustration designs that I might need and stuff like that. So like where I feel like my skill set isn't lacking, but I want to be able to incorporate some of that stuff into my site, my branding, whatever. There's ways to work around your own limitations and stuff. Will me having skills in front and back end development make me more employable in UI design? Yeah, I think there was a designer on here who was, oh crap, what title did he have? Was it interactive designer? I don't know. But he was a designer who did front end coding. I would say the mix is typically, you don't need to do back end. So if you want to still actually do any UI, it's typically UI and front end development is typically like the blend of role that you will find. Understanding back end is great, but usually you don't see like back end, front end, and UI design required in any role. I would feel like very rare. And also, if you try to do everything, you're probably not going to be great at much. But there definitely is. You would be very hireable for like design foundations teams, design systems teams, because you could help with the UI componentry, because if you're not doing any UX, then you could also build out the componentry system in the platform, which would be very hireable for sure. But then on the same side, if you're freelancing as well, I think you need a little bit of UX in there if you're going to do it though. Yeah, it would make you desirable for UX clients who wanted the full package. But man, it's a lot. Like, it's a lot to take on to do all that. And then you're probably too expensive for most people to afford. So yeah. InDesign program in our UX program is over 3/4 and is awful. Oh no, that's not good. You must be talking about like a learning program, like yeah, you're in like a cohort boot camp or something. How can you prepare yourself? Oh, if it's awful, that's not good. I don't know what you've learned and what you haven't learned though. So prepare yourself. I would say, again, I'm guessing you're in a boot camp. I'm guessing you don't have any work experience. So start to try to get some as real world experience as you can, whether that's finding a prompt and then fitting constraints around it, doing, putting like real world characteristics to it, or like I said, volunteering or finding or freelancing or something. Because you will not come out of that and just get a job, most likely. How do you actually do UX research? How do you make participants take it seriously and answer? So, the best thing that I have found is taking it seriously. First off, that's not real. Like, people think about you and you using products and stuff like that. People don't necessarily take testing something seriously because they're just using the product and you want them to use the product as close to reality as it was. So if they're distracted taking care of their kid, they're trying to book Uber Eats or whatever, you don't want them to take it seriously. You want them to let them be as real and authentic as you can, because that's the type of results that you want to get. But I will say the best kind of setup a lot of the time is using what I was saying, is having actual recruitment through one of the user testing programs, because they have actually signed up and usually they provide demographic information so you can get the somewhat close or some attributes of your target audience to test with. So that's always good. But at the same time, yeah, you to be a good designer is to be able to look at like a user interview or a usability test or something like that and be able to detect from what you're saying what is working and what isn't. So lower level designers, the typical thing that I see from them is they'll set up a usability test and then the users will have rated, oh, 5, so easy, 5, great, across the board. The product was amazing, so easy to use. But then you watch the videos and you see these people struggling. They're like, I can't find that. Oh, there it is. Like you observe, the observation part of kind of some of the research is so key, because people want to they don't want to be mean. They want to give you positive and happy feedback. But yeah, hopefully that kind of answers your question. There's so many different types of research, from surveys, contextual inquiries, diary studies, usability testing, all of that kind of good stuff. So when you talk about participants, interviews, and stuff like that, make sure you're not asking leading questions. The question structure and the way that you ask things will completely bias your results and stuff like that, and or surveys as well. It's a critical part of research. So that's a little bit. Where should we look for a job? You gotta. I actually have on Medium, I did a huge aggregation of all the kind of job search sites and stuff. What was it called? I shared it last time as well. Where to find? It's a huge repository. And then a couple of people in the comments have added even more. But yeah, I have a Medium article about it. Yeah, it's like job boards, like huge job boards or something like that. I can't find the title. Yes, a UX designer's guide to finding the best job boards. That's what it's called. If you want to go look at that, there's a shit ton of job boards on there. Curious what your thoughts are about the jar kit for product. It must be product designers, PDs. Never seen it abbreviated that way. But I did answer to the market question a little bit earlier, so hopefully that kind of covered it. I completed a program with Springboard a year ago, and okay, stop. Does this thing where it needs me to solve a puzzle to make sure I'm human. Okay. Oh, don't start over. Springboard a year ago and you couldn't find a job. Don't they have, doesn't Springboard offer a, oh, maybe you didn't qualify because I think you have to have a bachelor's degree to qualify for their like job guarantee thing. Yeah, definitely don't start over. Again, my recommendation is just start finding like real work as much as possible and just continue to grow from there because that'll give you so much more vetting in your portfolio. And yeah, the more you do that and the bigger you can get, the more you can charge. Even if you go through freelancing for a couple years before you get like a corporate job. That was my path. That's why I recommend it, is because that's how I do it. Is Google's UX design course good? Yeah, it's a great start. Very much a start. It's like a taster for UX design, and it's free, so literally why not do it? But there's a lot more you have to learn on top of that, but it is a good start. Intro, yeah. My most recommended boot camp, I've been through, you were just saying from Springboard, that is my most recommended boot camp. I've been through their, I just went through the curriculum this year, so I don't know if it's changed or anything, but it is easily the most comprehensive outline curriculum that I've seen. And it aligns perfectly with what I see the industry needing from UX designers specifically. There's actually a link on my website to that boot camp as well. Indonesia? How can I platform freelance from your country? No, there's so many. There's so many different platforms and things for finding freelance jobs. I think the biggest ones, honestly, if you're just starting out to try to do stuff internationally, Fiverr and Upwork are hugely international, and you can work for clients literally over the entire world. It's a good place to start, but then if you want to find specific countries, I actually don't know why you'd want to do that. I would just go to where you can find the most work at any country and go from there. What do you think about organizing your design file in Figma when there are so many iterations? So many iteration rounds. I'm not an organizer. Until the final production ready design, if you were just talking explorations and different iterations and stuff, no, absolutely not. I'm not going to waste my time labeling file names and doing all of that. Some people are just excellent at it. Some people are just, but it's honestly a huge waste of time, in my opinion. Huge waste of time until you like lock down in on the final version. I'm even one to detach components and stuff like that if I want to break out, do different iterations and stuff. And then once I get to the final design, I'll just if I end up just using a stock standard version of that component, I just pull it in again. But like, I need freedom. I need flexibility. And all of that is just constraining and time consuming. And honestly, like your product teams won't be super happy with it because they're like, where's my solution? So it's completely normal to feel behind when it comes to UX, right? Yes. You will always feel behind because there's always going to be a designer who does something a little bit different than you. So maybe I'm always jealous of like 3D and animation UX and UI designers because you know what the types of sites they make? Sites that I cannot make because they do unique illustrations, unique 3D animations and all these types of things. And I will never be able to do that. I would have to hire and work with somebody who can do that type of design to be able to execute that level of work. But the level when it's just like a superpower when you can do that stuff together. Or designers who can code as well, like really well, they can just, man, they make games and stuff out of their portfolio sites. There's always going to be somebody better than you. Yeah. And you always feel behind because that's just how it be. Best piece of design when designing anything. Design someone who is busy doing other things. I don't know what that means, Paul. Best piece of advice when designing is anything. I don't know. How was your renovation? Oh my gosh. You obviously follow me on Instagram. Otherwise, how would you know? Yeah, it's actually going pretty well. I was at the tile store this morning. I think I posted on my Instagram that literally doing this renovation feels like a full-time job. I won't stay into this too long because I don't think people are here for renovation conversation, but I'm having the whole back of my house renovated. I got really screwed over by the previous owner and they didn't have my two extensions, my dining room and my office didn't have a foundation. I had to have them completely rebuilt because I could literally see, because here in the Netherlands, we're like under sea level, right? So the ground is very soft and like usually made up a lot of the time from sand. But I could see I could see my office detaching from the core of the house. But it's going really well. The workers and everything are really good. It's been a process and I'm still have a lot of decisions to make, but I think I decided on my office flooring today, which I'm very excited about. And I'm going to install the tile myself, somewhat excited about. So, anyways, thanks for asking. I really appreciate that. It's a huge part of my life right now. Okay. How do you get started in freelance without any experience? I have a degree in UX, but struggling. Controversial advice, but for free. Start it for free just to get your foot in the door, to get real clients, maybe even get a real testimonial, like whatever. But yeah, do cold emails. Literally what I did, literally, and this was, I'm sorry, 10 years ago now, but I just cold emailed. If I would literally spend my time, I would go on Google Maps, which may or may existed 10 years ago, or may not existed. And I would find little mom and pop shops, sandwich shop, friggin', I don't know, boutique, whatever. And then I would find them on Google Maps. I would go to the website, and if it was terrible, I would be like, hey, I'm a web designer located here, and it was in Portland, Oregon at the time. And here is how I see it. If you made these changes to your website, I really think that you'd benefit, like you'd get more contacts or you'd get more sales or whatever you could tell the goal of their website was. If you're interested in working with me for a discount or something like that, I really love helping local businesses, whatever. That's how I got in. That's how I got my foot in the door. And then once you have that base, then you can start charging more. Then you can say, you can do that same cold email or LinkedIn or however you kids do it nowadays, and then start charging for your services. Honestly, I think I started charging like my second or third client. You really just need the first one to be able to prove that you can do it, and then be able to show people a case study where they were happy. If it's all concept work, that's totally fine. So if your portfolio is all concept work, it's not real projects. Oh, my earphones are dying. That's totally fine. You said the diverse, that's super good. If they're crazy diverse, if you've done like a t-shirt design and then a website and then like a mural, we don't want that type of diversity. But if you've done like an app design, a web design, and then maybe a research project or something like that, that's cool. But again, I would always try to curate your projects, and especially if you've done like concept projects, towards the job, towards the roles and responsibilities that like are in the job that you're looking for. I hope that makes sense. What time? Oh, we're at 6:30. How long have we been doing this? We've been doing this an hour, and I feel it in my voice. Complete newbie. Cool, cool, cool. Oh, you're a UI UX product analyst. Very cool. Okay. I don't think I've heard of that title before. That's really neat. Can you get into UX positions with an illustration degree? Yeah, but you need to know how to do UX. Like the illustration and being able a degree and being able to do illustrations is going to be a huge selling point, but you have to be a good UX designer first. Illustration is going to be your differentiator, not the reason you actually even get it in the first place. Good. I'm glad. Oh, swipe left to choose what? Am I down at the bottom? I know I'm not. Sorry, guys. I can't scroll down past a certain point now. What's happening? Give me one sec. Oh my gosh. Okay. Gosh, it was just like locked in there. Okay. Use your illustrations on your website app designs. It would look incredible. Yeah. God, yes. Yeah. Yeah. That will really set you apart as well because you'll have unique illustrations and stuff on your portfolio. Again, just such a setting apart factor, but not necessarily a selling factor. Not the first selling factor. You have to be good at the job you're trying to get first, but there are hybrid roles as well. Like you can do UX and illustration. So yeah. How to create portfolio for relate in industry. I'm not sure you mean, sorry. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, I think I'm at the end of the questions. That's a first. I usually have to blaze through them. Really good questions, though. I'm just scrolling back up to make sure I didn't miss anything. But if you guys have, I'm going to answer maybe one or two more if you guys have them, but then I think we're good. Also, my voice says we're done. Starting to get sore. Cool. Maybe case study template. Idea for content rose to your first design portfolio that got you your job. Oh, I would have to unearth that, I think, off of a hard drive. Oh, it was so long ago. What would it even have been? What would it even have been? I can see it though. I know. I don't know. The portfolio, the very first portfolio that I did. Let me tell you, it had parallax. It had script font. And I'm pretty sure it had some sort of, the parallax was like trees or something like fixed on the side. Like, it was so bad. I can't say for certain that it got me the job, but that's the portfolio version that pops into my head. I also had a portfolio that what I did is I recorded this video, and actually it ended up being in a panel discussion, like on a huge screen in a panel discussion that I was in. And it was a video before video was cool, honestly. Okay, hipster, thank you. But I just did a bunch of clips of me. I had my partner walk around me in circles. I was in a bookstore, and then I was out on a pier, and then I was like in a forest, and it was cool. It wasn't well executed, but the idea of it was really cool. And that was my intro, and then it just said Slater, which is my last name. And Slater Designs has always been, I've just had that forever now. But oh, that first portfolio was rough. So really bad. Okay. Um, do you have a case study template? I have a learning guide. So go download my free learning guide, and the outline of the key things you need to include in your case study are in there. So do that for sure. I don't know what this question is. I'm working on a pioneering account. Maybe I don't know what a pioneering account is, but just an admin now since it's Pioneer. I have no idea what you're talking about. If somebody else knows what he's talking about, please help, but I'm lost. Is there a big market for UX in the Netherlands? There are quite a few big tech companies here. Yeah, actually. Adidas has a headquarters here. Nike has one here as well. Philips, the light bulbs, huge. They have huge tech part of their company. Miro is here as well. Booking, big, massive, also here. Lots of banks. So yeah, it's not like Silicon Valley by any means, but it's definitely comparable to maybe I would say Portland. It's really close to Portland. I would say, but maybe not so many like agencies and like smaller kind of things like that. But yeah, quite a few tech companies actually. Yeah. We have to create tools and websites ourselves. Is this worthy project to boost my UX venture? Yeah, honestly, any kind of real, I, not comparable. Yours is a lot better, but I, when I worked at a fruit stand when I was 16, and my first real website design and coding was that fruit stand's website. And I just asked my boss if I could help because I felt like I could help. Not really comparable, much lower level than what you're talking about, but any real world experience is going to be beneficial for you, like unquestionably. Yeah. Because it's like stakeholders, how did you handle like the actual real scenario of going through that? How did you review with that client or stakeholders, et cetera? It just gives you so much more than like just doing a prompt project and stuff. How do you think it would be hard for someone in their early 40s to start a career in UX, UI design? It depends on what type of 40-year-old you are. That's what I would say. How do I know that's 40? If you have to be a pretty savvy 40-year-old, right? Maybe if you're coming from more like a traditional kind of career that, I don't know, you didn't have to learn or it wasn't fast paced or anything like that, you might have a harder time. But if you're like a curious person, you love solving problems, age don't, it doesn't matter. it seriously doesn't matter. I don't think there's any age description, what's a discrimination whatsoever. Maybe that's hard. Is that hard to, yeah, it's actually harder if you're younger sometimes. Yeah. I haven't found that there's much age discrimination other than maybe if you're really young in the tech world, because the tech world also still has quite a bit of like old legacy in it. It's run by a lot of it's run by a lot of old white guys still. But yeah, it just depends on who, like what type of 40-year-old you are. If you're curious, love solving problems, if you're curious about tech and technology and stuff like that, uh, you're good to go. Doesn't matter how old you are. Mm-mm. Sorry, 40. Okay, and so is creating a process guide for new employees to new businesses count be considered UX? Yeah, yeah. I've created a ton of frameworks, documentation, that type of stuff is a massive part. If it's a part of solving the problem, whatever problem it is, sounds like yeah, you're creating an onboarding process. Absolutely, totally a part of that should be included in your case study because it's like, what type of medium, what type of thing did you choose to solve whatever issues they're currently having with, or the current challenges or whatever the new employees have with the new business account. Absolutely, I would totally include that. I appreciate you thanking me for talking for an hour straight. That's really nice to hear. I hope it's valuable and worth your time as well. Because you know I've been talking for an hour straight, so maybe you've been here for an hour, and that's also crazy. But yeah, yes. Oh, you guys are so nice. Thank you for sticking on. Because I love this. I've looked forward to this all day. But I will say by the end of it, I'm like a frog. Oh, a pioneer, a newly bought business. That's what pioneer business means. Okay, so yeah, you're like, it's like a merger, or it's not quite a startup, but something like that. But yeah, hopefully everything that I said still applies now that I know that it's a newly bought business. Yeah, because I also was a part of a huge company that bought another company, and there was a ton of stuff that we needed to do to figure out just even how, like ways of working, stuff like that, and like figuring out how like all the technology like intertwined and platforms and all that kind of stuff. So loads of stuff to be able to include when doing that. Best UX journey I've heard. Great. Fruit stand website erases a lot of doubts in my mind. Yeah, I know now. I don't know what your guys' perception is, but from what I see on social media sometimes, I'm really scared that you guys get sold a very fake idea, or there's just a very unrealistic picture of what getting into UX looks like. I just like, oh, take this UX boot camp and then you can just eat coconuts in Bali and be on your computer. It's oh. No, I no, that's so unrealistic. And even the people that are like self-taught, and there are successful ones out there, but I think it's so few and far between. And also, they don't even paint the real picture. To be self-taught is almost a luxury because like you have to have that amount of time. And you probably have a strong network or something like that, or you even have the personality that makes you like motivated, self-driven, fucking finding all the resources and stuff to sift through that absolute sea of content that is out there and know what is like the right direction to head into, and then build a network and then do all these different things. Like I ain't built that way. Like I like structure, I like accountability, and that helps me learn and stuff like that. I don't know what the perception is for you guys out there, but I hope hearing about fruit stands in my space like gives you a little bit more of a realistic picture, because at least that's my journey. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Awesome. That's it. Oh, Peru. Oh, man. That's super cool. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for sticking around. I love seeing like where you guys are from. I find that super interesting. Peru has been on my list for so long. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. I do this weekly now, so I'm trying different days and different times. So it's actually helpful to know where you guys are located. I don't know, but I don't know that it is because like, how could I be good for every time zone? Dallas, nice. I haven't been to Dallas. I've been to Houston. Okay. But yeah, I'm doing this weekly. Also, very soon, I'm going to be setting up small group sessions for junior designers, mid-level designers, senior designers, lead designers. separate sessions, 7 to 8 people, absolute maximum, so we can have more of a discussion about some of the challenges and things that you're facing at the different stages in your career. And the only way, if you're interested in doing something like that and bringing your questions, bringing your struggles, and having a discussion, the only way you can sign up for that will be through my email list. So if you would be interested in joining something like that, please join in. It'll be more less just me talking to you guys through this camera. Like, we can chat, we can meet, and we can, like, you can show me stuff if you want to show your screen, show portfolios or whatever. But I'm going to be doing that like within a couple weeks time. So if you want to sign up, just let me know by signing up for my email list. But otherwise, I'm going to sign off. I'm going to go drink some tea or something. Thank you guys for all your questions. They've been super good. And I'll see you guys next time, next week. Okay, bye.